Hello and welcome. If you haven't watched the previous video, which explains what Google Drive is about, go have a look at that first. In this video, we're going to have a look at what Google Docs is about. So Docs is basically just a sort of cloud-based version of what you would see as Microsoft Word. So in this tutorial, we're going to focus on that specifically. So in a previous tutorial, we had a look at how to create a document. If you already have a document you want to upload, and that could be anything, it could be PDF, it could be a Word document, or it could be a PowerPoint slide, what you can do is you click new here and you click File Upload, and you'll be able to choose which file you want to upload. So it will do its best to convert it into something that it can work with, so there might be certain things it can open, but it's pretty compatible with most things. So if you upload a Word document, you should be able to edit it in here. Now, let's just create a Google Docs document. So we created one called CV here. So in here, we didn't want to create another one. So we now created this one. Up here, what we got up here is the title of the document. So we're gonna call this my example. So my sample file. Call my sample file here. Right. So this is what it's called. So if you click the file here, what you have here is you share, so you can share it with anyone. You click on one, you might want to share with a colleague. You can create a new document, you can open another one, or we can rename it. You can also rename it by clicking up there again. We can make a copy of it, or we can move it to a specific folder. We can move it to a trash folder, basically delete it. And we can see the revisions, so we can see previous version of the document. We can download it, or we can publish it, and so on. So you might want to look in here. In here is where you would do all your margins. So your margin will be out here, like that. So that's the top up there. So it's, you see the text is around there, and you can then change it by changing these numbers here. You can also change the orientation and so on, and you can change the paper color and so on. So that's how you change the margin. So if you've been told to use a certain margin, that's where you change it. You can also see it up here what's been set to. That's where it goes to, so we can write between these. So if I did like this, just type this, once you get to there, it should pop down to next line. So that's how that works. Alright, so up here in edit, you have your usual forth and back, similar as in Word. You can copy paste. You can select all, select none, and you can also do this with your hotkeys here, the shortcuts. And in view, we have different modes we can view it in. So we go in here, we can move it, say the typical this way of writing. So this is what you have it if you're just writing a document. Then down here, if say you receive the document and you just want to do some suggestions, so you want to say improve this part of it, change that part of it, or use a reference on that part of it, or you can have it like the way that people will be viewing your document. So we're just gonna keep it in edit here. You have rulers. This is basically what we talked about before here, where we got that. So in between there, where it got back there. Show that one. If you wanted to do something like that, if you want to set an equation, compact tools, we just pack it in there, and we can then go up there again, which just gives it a bit more space, or we go into full mode. So insert, if you want to insert a picture, you insert a link, equation, a drawing, a chart, and so on. You click on these. You can do tables, so we could make a table with some data. Gonna have a look at how to do that in a minute. Then you have your comments, if you want to comment a certain part of your document. So I want to comment that and write a comment on there. Improve this. So do that. And then whoever goes in there can then see that I need to improve this part of the document I've written. Or you can make comments to yourself. Also, we've got special characters. If there's some that's not available on your keyboard, you can click that one. We've got a horizontal line, just to basically a separator. And down here is where you control where your page numbers are going to appear. It's going to appear up in the corner, down in the corner, or in the other corner, and so on. And you got your page count and page break and page header. So these probably more interesting ones. If you have a header and you want to say this header will appear on each side. So, for example, say university, and then we got date 2016. Right? We now have that on every single document we have written. So you can write your headers depending on what your requirement gonna be. Say if you're writing a university assignment. Also, we got similar with footer, where you normally have your footnote. So you can then use this and type a specific one in, or you could make a bookmark. So we could do that, and then we can create a link to that. We also got a bookmark, and what bookmark is essentially when you think about the table of content, you can then create a link to that so you can quickly jump to it. So that's your bookmark. Just undo that. Right, so in the formatting is your typical text tools, what's commonly available, where you can make bold, you can make italic, underlining, strike through, and superscript, and so on and subscript. Then you got your font sizes. All these, most of them use things are also available out in the menu, just as we're going to see in a minute. We can also align it, so we want to justify the text so it's the same on each side, or we want to justify it to the right or left or something like that. So that should be pretty self-explanatory. Then you got your line height. You might have specific requirement. You have to write with 1.5 in order to let your lectures actually comment underneath it or make notes. And then you got your list, so that's just a number list, like 1, 2, 3, like this, basically, and you got different available. So if you have an image, you'll be able to use these in here. You'll be able to chop your image and do certain like small adjustments. And then we also got on tools. In here we'll find some quite neat features that you might not have available with your Word, Microsoft Word. So you got your spelling. You use that one, so you can click spelling, and we'll do spell checking. So there's no suggestions for how to improve this, obviously. But your Explorer, what is that? Well, say you write an article on something, you will be able to go in here, and we can then search for, I don't know, Britain or something like that. To spell it correct. Like that. And we then be able to explore certain things in here. So we can say images, and we can also go onto your drive. And what this really allows you to is like quickly finding things as you're writing your document. Go down there, and we'll be able to access this website. So that's your Explorer. What we also have up here, we just close this one, is your define. So you can search a dictionary to find a definition for a word. So we can search puppy, and we then get the definition that this is a young dog. So if there's any word you don't understand, or you're looking up a word or something like that, then you can go in and see the nouns and scroll on, etc. for that. Alright. We also got the document outline, and this is just a way of sort of allowing you to create it in more maneuverable documents. So if you have a long text, you can outline certain things and make it quicker to move around in. Then you got your word count, and then we got voice typing. So voice typing is basically, if you have a microphone, you can speak. It's pretty good at picking up depending on your accent and things like that, and how well you speak. So since I don't speak completely clearly, it's probably not going to pick me up that well. But let's just give an example here. I like Google. New line. I also like Microsoft. So there's you can sort of do typing with this, but as I say, you probably get used to as you use it over time to actually get the right tone for it to pick it up correctly. So let's try to actually make a real case scenario about how you would be using this, because just going over the tools might not give you the best idea how to work with this. So say if you click up here, Docs Home, you will see a range of templates available to you. There's a lot you can download as well. But if I click the resume there, I will get a predefined layout. So now I can just go in and change these things. and I can change whatever the projects I've done and so on. So you can click there, and obviously you can also go up and change it just the way you want it. So I could change your name is me, something like you me, or let's create something like this. So we do this. So this is Hindley, and then we say down there we want to change this text here. Just mark that and say if I could spell it correctly, that would help. Like that. You see this spell correction work there. So this is sort of how you go in and edit these things. So you can change, say, from bold, or we can make the italic, we can underline it, and so on. We can justify it. So we want to center the text there, and we can change the background color, and we can change it whether it's going to be a title. So this is the title. So there's already got defined styles for that one, or you can make it a heading. So the reason why you want to use this sort of thing is like when you create your headings, say you create this as a subcategory of this heading. So this would be heading 1, and then whatever you had in here, so example, this was something underneath there, you would then make this as heading 2, and then that once you start creating the table index, you have these different headings showing up underneath each other, so you can lay out your table of content correctly. So that's the idea behind that. Now let's think about this another way. What if I removed all this and I wanted a 2-column layout? Well, what you could do is you could go in here and could create like something like that, and then could say here some text, and we can just copy that text across there. So it's Control C, or you can go up in the menu and copy that there. Right? Well, it doesn't look great now, does it? Because now we've got this sort of outline here. We're not interested in that. But what we can do is through table properties, yeah, and we can then change, say, the color, or we could just set it as 0, and we should now see that go away. So that's the way we can create columns in our document. So hopefully that makes sense. So we're just gonna write something here. This is right, and we're gonna turn this into a header. So we do that like that. So it's our title. Then underneath here, we then want some body copy. So we're gonna just lorem, give some, and we're just gonna leave it at that. Right. So we've got that. So you can imagine we've got a lot of text there. But now we want to insert an image. So we go up to insert here, and say image. And if you remember, right, we haven't uploaded anything to a Google Drive yet, so we can upload it. You can also find other ways of doing it. So you can go to an URL, you can go to your albums, or you can as a Google Drive here, or we can take a snapshot, or we can search the internet for one. However, I already got an image, so if I click here, and I then click that one, I just download it. We've got a nice dog here, and we're now uploading this picture. And now you got your image in here. You can rotate it, and you can scale it, and so on. You can also go into your edit up here, so your format, and we can crop it, we can replace it, and we can go into image options, and we can adjust it however we need it to be. So we just reset that. So that's sort of the way you work with that. You also got your crop up there. One thing worth mentioning is as well, say I want a footnote. What I can do is go into footnotes down here, insert footnote, and I can then insert the right footnote for that one where I found that picture. So I found that at Google, just an example here. So one of the most important things you're going to do is when you write a document is that you're going to have a table of content, because people are going to be able to work out what's in it. So how do we do that? Well, as I mentioned before, these headings are essential. So if I create, say this is heading 2, just call it something like that, and heading 3, and then in here we've got some text, right. So I now want these to appear in my table of contents. So at the moment we've got no table of content. What you need to do is, if you first go in here and insert our table of content, you can choose where you want now. So because I had the cursor there, it was selected right there. So let's just go back up here and just, instead of having it up there, just do like that. And then we just insert our table of content here. Right. So how do I get it to appear up here? Well, in similar as when you're working with Microsoft Word, what you need to do is use these headings. So if I said this was a heading, and I said this was a heading, so that's heading 1, and I then went up here and refreshed this, that's your table content, a table of content. So all these pages are on page 1. So what if this one down here that we have, say this is a heading 4, but that is a subheading of heading 3. How do we do that? Well, you do that by going in here and then say heading 3 or heading 2, because we use heading 1 before. And then if we go up here and refresh it again, you'll see the appears underneath that. So as you write your document, start out with creating all these headings. So if you create the headings like your titles and your heading 1 and heading 2, and if you use them throughout your document as you write, you'll be able to create your table of content this easy just by basically clicking the refresh button there. Hopefully this made sense. Just play around with it and you'll quickly get the idea. As I said, once you start up with a document, start out with your headings, your titles, and use these up here, the defined ones, and then you can create your table of content. You have your footnotes up there, so you can insert those if you have to make any references. Also, if you go into your explore in here, once you find something, some of them allow you to actually make a quick reference, so you can insert them by just clicking insert, and a little button will appear, allow you to insert it. And what you notice as we've been going along up here, it continually has been saving as we go along, so you never really need to click save. It will always continue to save, so you always save. So as you see here, I clicked it, and that's your revision history, and that's what we're going to finish off with, just explaining to you. You might be used to on your computer be allowed yourself to save document 1, 2, 3, or for example this document new, or this second, or something like that. Basically you rename your document and save different copies of it. It's a really silly way of working with it, and what Google has done is it sort of adopted the approach that you use in software engineering, where you have a software that takes care of the revisioning of your work. So what do I mean by this? Well, your revision is basically a previous state of your document. So if I go into my revision here, see revision history, I'll be able to see all the changes. So every time I've changed something, I can then click on it like that. I can then restore it to this previous state. So whatever I had there can then be restored. So you'll be able to go forth and back. And what you're also going to do is if I click on that and then show details, I can then see the specific ones. So I changed something, for example, in between here. So it load. So I had a picture there. So in the latest version, where I have deleted things, so all that's got a line through it is what's been deleted, I can then revert to the document where I had the picture in here if I restore to this revision, and there we have it. So you should in theory never be able to actually use anything when you're working with Google Docs. So take advantage of that, try it out, play with the visioning. Obviously if you change something, the thing you changed from will still be available through the revision, so you can change back to that as well. So play around with it, and hopefully this tutorial has given you a good insight in how to work with Google Docs. And in the next tutorials we'll be looking at how to work with the spreadsheet. So thank you very much for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.